saw the Iranian young boys and girls working hard to preserve their culture. I'm going to give you an overview of the Persian classical music, and then I'll be playing the tar, which is a very traditional Iranian instruments. Let me go quickly through. You may find a copy of this brief note on your tables if you would like to refer to later on. Persian classical music dates back to 500 BC, so it's a long tradition. The Achaemenid Empire used music in prayer, a royal festivity, national ceremony, and war. At the time of the Sassanid dynasty, Persian music reached its culmination with the royal ensemble performing songs by Barbad and Nakisa, the two renowned court musicians. Barbad is famous for his system of 7 royal modes. We call them khosravanis, means kingly, 30 derivative modes, which are called lan, or songs, and 360 melodies, called dastan, or sometimes we call that rah, or gushe. So you see that we had music for every day of the week, every day of the month, and every day of the year. In the next millennium or so, Persian classical music comes under pressure from the religious fanatics and loses its liveliness. During this long period, Persian music continues to thrive in theory, while it deviated considerably in practice. The Arab invasion was one of the prime causes for suppressing musical activities. Nonetheless, at the time of the Abbasid dynasty, supported by the Iranian to come, and they moved the capital from Syria to Baghdad. Baghdad, by the way, is an Iranian name. It means God-given. It was the capital of Iran at the time of the Sassanid dynasty. So under this dynasty, one can witness a revival of some form of the court music. The Iranian musicians once again gained importance during this period. A prominent musician and scholar, Abu Nasr Farabi, he was also a philosopher, published his most celebrated book. It's called Kitab al-Musiq al-Kabir. His book proved to be pivotal in the Islamic world, laying down the foundation for music tradition in much of the works of later centuries. Other Iranian scholars, such as Abu Ali Sina, also a doctor and also a philosopher, and Safiuddin Ormavi, launched the 12-mode system with 6 melodies, which are more or less rampant in modern time. The socioeconomic dominance of hardline clerics for the next centuries thwarted music pursuits. Only religious music was allowed, either as part of the reciting of Quran or other religious events. Music became associated with Islam and was an integrated part of the rituals such as taziyeh, which is called, it's a sort of religious, it's like opera, but it's not opera, it's a religious musical theater. Only the Safavid kings themselves, resolute Shiites, patronized the art, especially music that was welcome at the royal court. Much of the present Persian classical music finds its origin in Qajar dynasty. Our collective memory in terms of the practical music, as opposed to theory, dates back to this period. Mirza Abdullah, you can see his picture there, was a living memory of the 3,000 years of musical heritage. His teaching became the pinnacle of much of the music literature in modern time. He was a virtuoso musician who taught the generation to come the repertory of the Persian classical music is called Radif, and it's been called by UNESCO as a World Heritage a couple of years ago. He has passed on the long and wide-ranging oral tradition music to his students while allowing them to put into writings much of his vast and valuable collection from the past. Until this period, we have only oral tradition, and it was sort of apprenticeship, going from the master to the students. He was a maestro tar and sitar player. So I'll be playing the tar tonight. The Qajar era is unique in the sense that musicians played at the royal court and private parties. Majlisi, or private party music, is the most common type of music during this period. Some instruments, such as tar and sitar, were introduced, and others, such as oud, robab, I think you can see the pictures there, chang, which is harp, qanun, these were abundant. And Ağa Hossein Ghali, the leading musician, and his well-known students, Darvish Khan, he's on the left-hand side, and Darvish Khan is the student on the right-hand side at the top. And also we had the two other musicians, Arif and Shada. They were very famous for their tasnifs, which is kind of marigolds. And during the Nasir Shah of Qajar, he visited Europe in 19th century and tried to copy the Western-style theaters and opera houses in Tehran, the capital city. He founded the Takiye Dolat, prototype of a musical opera house. You can see the picture on the right-hand side, where musicians and actors could present their works. Many princes and princesses were engaged in music, either by getting trainings or supporting musicians. Tar became the most prestigious instrument in the sense that in almost every noble family, one member could play it. The Pahlavi era was a turning point in the Persian classical music. Many music schools and academics were established during Reza Shah and his son Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. The founding of national radio and television stations also played a crucial role in disseminating Persian music to the remotest corners of the country. Iran benefited from the Western educational system, and many students graduated from colleges and universities, including music schools. You can see the picture of Ali Nagier Vaziri sitting with a tar. He graduated from both Germany and France, came back to Iran and established the music, the Honaristan Musiqi, which is music academia. And then at this time, for the first time, female vocalists were able to sing. And in public, you can see the picture of Qamar Muluk Vaziri, who is the first female vocalist in Iran, which was a very, very risky act to do then, and still today, as you know, the women are not allowed to sing in public. Okay, unfortunately, the rapid, unbalanced, and incomprehensive forced modernization towards the end of the Pahlavi era tainted to a certain degree the Persian classical music. The masses turned into pop music as radio and TV stations, both public media, paid more attention to such music at the expense of the Persian classical music. The academia became the center for training of the Western classical music. Iranian traditional musicians suffered a lot, and many of them found refuge in their homes. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution, later labeled as Islamic, brought a complete halt to musical endeavors. Ibn Khaldun, the Arab scholar and philosopher, states that music is among the first praise to the socio-political upheavals. During the social displacement of 1979, the Islamic regime only allowed revolutionary songs to be played on the radio and television stations, as other musical forms were banned. Many musicians either had to leave the country or became locked up in their homes. Nonetheless, the Islamic regime soon broke ties with the traditional Shiite clerics for the first time since the advent of Islam in Iran, lifting the ban on buying and selling musical instruments. Such an unprecedented act led the Persian classical music to flourish in the country. Moreover, as pop music was considered blasphemous and disrespectful, the young generation turned into the Persian classical music. Many religious families allowed their children to attend music schools, while music stores were filled with musical instruments. Today one can see the young boys and girls freely carrying musical instruments in the streets of every city in Iran. In addition, introducing computer and internet in the society paved the way for writing and publishing the repertoire of the Persian classical music called Radif. I just want to mention quickly about the difference between the Western music and the Iranian music. In the Iranian music, the Persian classical music, we have quarter tones. And for the existence of the quarter tones, we have more notes than the Western music. So our music has 24 quarter tone scale. In the Western music, we have 12 semi-tone or half tone. In the Western music, we have major and minor. Of course, minor is divided into harmonic, melodic, and natural. In the Persian classical music, we have 7 scales, shur, segah, chargah, and so on. And we have 5 subscales and more than 440 gouches. Gouches means corner or segment of the scale. You play the scale, you go from one segment to the other. Sometimes you stay within the same modal structure. Sometimes you modulate. And you change the whole structure, and also you change the key. So in a sense, it's not completely tonal music. It changes the tonic. Tonight, this part I'm going to be playing the Tarn, the shur scale, which is one of the scales of the Persian classical music with some 702 bouches. And of course, I'm not going to be playing all of them for you, maybe a few of them. Thank you for your patience.